today in our world, and we Will Wells, who wrote a book about this topic. He wrote a book of Apocalypse When, which he estimated, as I remember, that the chances of human extinction in the next century is around 27%. Is it true? One option. So I will also speak about the question about timing of risks. And I don't see anything now. Okay, so there are a lot of open questions about risks of human extinction. And the main question, of course, is will we go extinct or no? Will the global catastrophe happen or no? But, and also another open question is what is the main risk and what we can do, but here I will address another question which is more particular, is that when it could happen. Well, there is such thing that the time frame. Time frame is the period of time in which we expect something or will happen or will be prevented. Of course, we expected that existential risk would be prevented because if they will not be prevented in one point of time, it will happen. Finally. So, and there are two main options, two main school of thoughts, or two main ideas about when it would happen. And Willard Wallace, who's here, wrote his prediction based on so-called God formula, which is pure mathematical school of thought, and it will not be discussed here, so please read his book. These two thoughts are mostly based on our picture of the world. And one of them is estimated that the risks are, the time frame of existential risk is very near. It is maybe from 15 to 30 years from now. And another that is not so near, it is maybe next century, or maybe 2 centuries, or maybe 5 centuries. It depends on different authors who wrote about them. So let's discuss first of these scenarios. The case scenario said that the risk could happen quite soon, in before 2050, and it is based on the idea of the probability of this risk is rising exponentially. And of course, I think that most of us understand why this is because of exponential growth of technologies and risks. And also that this exponential growth will result in something like so-called singularity, and most risk would be near it. So like oscillation near singularity, or like event horizontal black hole, where a lot of hot gases collide, and like typical black holes. So a lot of processes will happen near singularity if it happened, of course, if exponential growth will continue. And the main factor behind this exponential growth and behind this futuristic, this decay scenario is artificial intelligence, because singularity is the moment that artificial intelligence will be created. And here you can see this famous picture with predictions from Time magazine about the timing of singularity. Werner Wien famously said that singularity would happen before 2030. Kurzweil said that it would happen a little bit later, but still it could happen quite soon. And okay, maybe many of you know Michael Anisimov. And Michael Anisimov now is editing book. And Michael said to me, okay, if we put this so early date somewhere in the book would be obsolete in just in 15 years. I think, yeah, then I start thinking, okay, but maybe it would be good if the book obsolete, because if the book is obsolete, we are surviving. We will survive. So, and maybe we should put be longer date, and they could use this book for 20 years, longer time. But I think that's a different school of thought, and I will return to it. Because people in books, okay, say that now when people write books, they use longer time frames because they want their books to live longer. Okay, so in the case scenario, the main factor is superhuman artificial intelligence, who could do two main things: or it would destroy humanity, it would be unfriendly artificial intelligence, or it would prevent existential risk forever, for millions of years. So, and also it will provide us immortality, and there are some arguments about this short time frame that will be nano, bio, info, cognitive convergence. All these technologies will help each other and so our progress in nanotechnology will help to understand brain and help to create artificial intelligence, and it will help to understand brain even better, and everything would have to go together. And the same thing that was said about existential risks, that they are the same thing about nanotechnology, will help understand biotechnology, and will help to create viruses for someone who wants to create them. Okay. Another argument, the main argument, is the exponential growth of technologies, from which we easily could say that the risks associated with new technologies are also growing exponentially, at least even very quickly, because if we don't know how to create viruses, we don't know, but if we know, someone would create maybe one deadly virus in 1 year, and next year maybe it will be much simpler. So because exponential technologies are most easily seen in biology and artificial intelligence, which is simpler and simpler, and biology is creating viruses is simpler and simpler. So and even now someone could create a virus which will wipe out half humanity, and if you create 10 different viruses, which each of them would wipe half humanity, then 2 power 10 chances. Okay, so another type of argument for the short scenario is that there are some different processes which is going on now and which could happen in near future, and which could do some bad things, and some would help. Another bad things happen, so the World War and the new arm race, and new arms race is the most important thing, because if you have, all of you remember that you use that computers, nuclear weapons, and rockets were created during World War II, because during World War we used to have very high incentive to create new weapons. And if we have new World War or new arm race, then the chances that the new super weapons will be created are much higher, unfortunately. But also there are some different things which could also help not kill all humanity. People can't kill all humanity, but it could help to start a war. It could become a world war, and after World War we'll have new arm race, and in the result of this arm race we will have nanotechnology weapons, biological weapons, and military artificial intelligence, and all together is not very good, and one of these things will kill us. But also there is a different point of view on existential risk. I call it century scenario. It said that it would happen maybe this century, maybe 2 centuries from now, maybe 5 centuries. So that existential risks are fact, very rare events. For example, like a large asteroid would hit us, or a pandemic would happen, or world war would happen. So it is, as it is rare events and it is accidental events, they are mostly mutually independent events. And the probability is distributed linearly. So you just have one, for example, most of such construction said maybe you have a chance of nuclear war of 1% per year. So they described the probability of nuclear war as a linear probability without this exponential thing. And it also the idea that such risk will be prevented not by artificial intelligence, but by creating a space colonies. If we have more based on the moon, on Mars, everywhere, then we could fight accidental events like pandemics, asteroid strikes, and everything else. And there are some arguments for century scenario. One of them that most of previous predictions about artificial intelligence were false. They were wrong. People used to say that catastrophe will happen very soon. It's happened a lot of time. People said that it will happen soon, and it did not. So people used to have some people have a bias to predict very near catastrophe to attract attention to them. It was known from the beginning of the world, and people said that the Armageddon will happen very soon, and it didn't happen. But some people attracted attention to it. No. Okay. And also that another argument for such that we now know that there is Immortal and another law for biological technology, but all of them probably will level up soon, as most of exponential. So maybe just in 5 years, computers will speed and amount of transistors on the chip stop grow and everything level up, and maybe artificial intelligence will be 100 years from now it will happen. So as say again, that is, risks in this scenario is mutually independent, accidental, and they mostly unknown origin because and they will not interact with each other. And also there is some bias about, I said before, that people when they write books, they prefer to give longer estimates because they want the book to be longer. For example, John Leslie, I think so, because yes, John Leslie in his book Science and Ethics of Human Extinction spoke about 500 years. Nick Boston has an article, okay, it was an article, okay, but 200 years. Martin Rees in his book Risk about gave 100 years estimation. So okay, we can probably find some type of and of course, if we compare two of these scenarios, we see that the decade scenario is worse because we can die. Everybody who lives, who sit here, who lives now, would die in the next 50 or 20 years from global catastrophe if the decade scenario is true. But if it is not true, then if it happens a century from now, all of us anyway will die, but from aging. This is not a question of transhumanism that we should fight aging. But also the case scenario is so we have less time to prepare, there's more conflict because there is interactions with different risks. And if there will be war, there will be military AI, and it will be unfriendly by definition. And as I said, it will happen in our lifetime. So the open question is the time frame. And it mostly depends on the tempo of the future technologies. If it will grow exponentially exponentially or just linearly. And also the different risks of interact in complex manner, and it could happen soon. But there is one good thing that we have a good example of fighting what people think was existential risk. People used to thought that nuclear war would kill all humanity. It will not, in fact, but people thought about it as existential risk. And in the 80s and before, there was a large wave of demonstration all around the world against nuclear war. It was common knowledge that we should fight nuclear war, and there was a good result. After 80s, there was many treaties between the United States and Soviet Union, and after Russia. These treaties drastically reduced the amount of nuclear weapon in the arsenals. So, so people could fight. People could unite. Million people could go to the street to fight existential risk, but this risk should be near. People will not go to the street to fight the risk which will happen a century from now. It's not the nature of people because of this country. So people could fight near-term existential risk. People could go to the streets and say no military AI, for example, but they could not go to the streets and say no asteroids, please. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Yes, go ahead, Peter.
I have many questions, but
okay.
One in particular that struck me towards the end of your talk is you made the absolute point that military AI is obviously unfriendly by definition. I'm not sure that a lot of Americans would agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying that's my position, but just, I mean, the military is supposed to protect.
Okay, could me answer one question at a time because I can't remember many questions.
That's actually a question.
Okay, we go on. Okay, it is common knowledge in the field of existential risk we should not use fictional examples. But there is a big temptation to use fictional example and to remember the Terminator movie and Skynet, which was in fact military AI, which but basically military AI, I mean it is not the small type AI which is inside one robot which decides to kill people. It is a more type of military AI which control all the system of military from it's like prediction system which work with nuclear weapons, with robots, with everything else. So, and why it is unfriendly? Because it's friendly only for one nation, but is unfriendly for another. And it has to, because it's a much longer question, because it has to make decision to save, for example, 10 people by killing one. But I think that the more reason that I said it is unfriendly because it will be made very quick in the situation of our race, and then military making something quick where they are not thinking about safety, they are thinking about efficiency. So the more efficient it will be, the less safe, and the situation is a similar situation was during the time of creation of nuclear weapons. Then Oppenheimer and Alva was not so concerned about safety because they know that, I mean, safety of it could start ignition of atmosphere. Because if they will not do nuclear weapons, then Germans would do them. So the one who invests more in safety of his military AI, his nuclear weapons, he would be in disadvantageous position in the situation of conflict with another military AI. And if we have the world where several military AI is fighting each other, I think we will be killed. Okay, but you have another question.
Yeah, just one more question.
Okay. either for decade scenario or for century scenario. So do you think we? I think that any conclusion about if you say that you have a decay rate constant, 2% a year, then it is a century scenario, because in the decade scenario, the decay rate is growing until a point of time, then it drops to zero.
Well, you put it in whatever category you want. That's the number.
Yeah, but I didn't touch here the doomsday argument. But what is your question?
I don't understand why you jump from a constant risk rate to an exponential. There's a lot of polynomial powers in between.
Okay, I jumped because Moore law is exponential.
Well, we're not dealing with Moore's law.
Yeah, and some other technological laws are exponential. But of course, it could be more. We can have more different function. Even we can have even hyperbolic rate. But for simplicity, I think we can use these two approaches with the growing risk and this constant risk. And my point of view, of course, is that the risk is growing, and it is now becoming underestimated at this point.
Okay, we got to move forward because David Brin is going to be Skyped in at 11, and I got to move forward. So thank you, Alexei. There's also going to be a little program change. Next up is Anna Petrova, and then it says Romano Machado is after her, but we're going to be moving up. We're going to have David and Romano switch. It's actually Romano, I think. But, okay, so next I want to introduce Anna Petrova.